You are probably familiar with what you are seeing right now. Ghibli AI art. Unless you've been living under a rock, or maybe in North Korea, you've definitely heard of the new trend that's been going around, which was given the name of Ghiblifying. The internet is quite pissed by it, the White House official account is having fun with it, and the CEO of ChatGPT says their GPUs are melting because of it. In 1 week, 700 million photos was generated in ChatGPT. I was shocked how people I know, people who still call anime Chinese cartoons, and never heard of the word Ghibli before, were generating this art style using AI. So why the f would anime fans be angry about it? Isn't this popularity a good thing for the anime medium? Isn't the studio getting attention from people who don't even know what the word anime means? These questions have been living rent-free in my head. And finally, I can share with you my perspective on this whole ordeal. And to do that, first, we're gonna have to talk about Ghibli Studio is a well-renowned Japanese animation studio. The juicy part is, it's the only studio that won an Oscar for an anime ever. No other anime has ever won an Oscar beside these two Ghibli anime films. Now, I want to get this out of the way first. You might hear people pronounce it Ghibli or Ghibli or even Ghibli. As fun facts, the name Ghibli was chosen by Miyazaki based on the name of an aircraft, which itself is based on the Arabic name for a hot desert wind, Qibli, meaning a wind coming from Qibla, the Qibla being the Islamic direction of prayer. But Miyazaki himself and all Japanese people call it Ghibli.
What? Anyways,
aside from its beautiful storytelling, its magical fantasy worlds, and its well-written female characters that are not sexualized, unlike what Ghibli is really known for is its art. The nostalgic, soft and warm art style that feels like a memory, even if you have never lived it. It's the kind of visual language that doesn't shout, but wraps around you like a quiet summer afternoon. You see it and you feel something. The Ghibli art style has become its own universal language. You don't need to know Japanese, you don't need subtitles. A single frame, a sun-drenched train ride, a family biking past the fields, a little girl lying on the grass, and everyone across the world just goes, I want to live there. Well, what if I told you, you actually can? Introducing ChatGPT 4.0, the revolutionary update that will change your life forever. With the power of AI, you can now get isekai straight into your favorite anime. Okay, not really. But what the new ChatGPT 4.0 update added is generating AI images, which one of many things that it can do is mimic the Ghibli art style to the minute detail. No, you can't get spirited away to a Ghibli anime, but what you can do is turn the entire world into a Ghibli anime. Sunday, 30 March 2025. When I opened social media the morning of that day, it felt like entering a fucking simulation where everything is Ghiblified. Family, friends, celebrities, politicians, news reporters, everyone. Even the CEO of the goddamn company that's behind ChatGPT threw up a Studio Ghibli version of himself. And it's not just people, no. Even popular brands were turning into Ghibli on their official accounts. And that's when I started wondering, what would Hayao Miyazaki in Ghibli Studio think of all of this? Especially since Miyazaki is no stranger to controversy and has a deep history with sharing his opinions wholeheartedly. For example, in 2004, he refused to accept his Oscar award in person due to his ongoing protest on the invasion of Iraq that the United States has started the same year, saying, I didn't want to visit a country that was bombing Iraq. And after this AI-generated Ghibli art trend, a clip from a 2016 documentary on Miyazaki commenting on AI started resurfacing.
そんなに気持ち悪いものをやりたいなら勝手にやってればいいだけで、僕はこれを自分たちの仕事をつなげたいとは全然思いません。極めて何か生命に対する侮辱を感じます。
The documentary that this clip is from followed Miyazaki during his supposed retirement in the mid-2010s. In that same documentary, Miyazaki actually experimented with CGI to create a short film. So he is not anti-technology, but AI, that crosses a line for him.
地球最後の日が近いって感じですね。それは人間の方が自信がなくなってくるから。
After clips of this interview started circulating, the internet was divided into two halves. The first half are people who think these AI-generated photos are a copyright infringement. They are soulless, and they are taking art from humanity because art is supposed to be made by a human.
The AI studio Ghibli shit is nasty.
And I agree with that. Millions of photos, regardless of copyright or if the author likes it or not, are used to generate these AI images. And they are definitely not art. No matter how smart and complicated you think that prompt you wrote is. If AI images are art, then coding should be considered art too, which is not. It's a skill that not everyone can do, definitely. But art is an expression of human creativity. As soon as a machine does the walking, you are already lost. Each piece of art contains something deeply human, a fragment of the artist's soul, their lived experiences, their fears, obsessions, quiet joys. When a human paints, sculpts, writes, or composes, they are processing the world through their own messy lens. That's what gives art its weight. AI can mimic styles, replicate patterns, and remix aesthetics, but it doesn't feel heartbreak. It doesn't stay up at 3 a.m. haunted by an image. It doesn't know what it means to grieve, to love, to hope against hope. The second half believe that this AI photo generation is just a tool, and how to use that tool matters. And I also agree with that, because if brands use it for marketing, that's not cool. If it's just random people, why not? AI is fun to mess around with, so people are going to play with it just as dressing as your favorite anime character. It's kind of cool. But if you are going to judge me, I'll just do it in private and avoid all the drama. But no one goes to a cosplayer and asks them for the copyright to that costume.
Weird.
But if that cosplay is used for promotion, you definitely need the rights to use it. These are
The same picture.
I think the internet has a habit of venting its frustration in the wrong directions. People playing with AI tools like it's a Snapchat filter just to see how they would look in a certain anime style isn't what we should be directing our attention at. Nani? Yes! What we should be focusing on is exploring how we can work alongside this technology and how we can legislate it properly. And I don't want anyone to be under the impression that I don't sympathize with everyone whose jobs are at risk or their artwork is used without their consent. I'm also scared as hell of what's coming with this AI stuff. But the situation constantly reminds me of the people that freaked out over photography when it was first invented. Back in the early 1800s, painting in portraiture was a big deal. It could take years to master the skill, and painting someone was like a full-time job. It could take days to finish just one portrait. Then someone realized that people were dying of the plague faster than they can draw them, and he went like,
I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move.
Enter photography, where suddenly you could preserve an image in a matter of minutes instead of days. Of course, early photography was a little bit cursed. People had to sit completely still for a long time because the exposure times were ridiculous. But still, it was a game changer, and artists were not thrilled by this. A famous and controversial painter, Paul de la Roche, huge name at the time by the way, reportedly saw a photograph and went, "From today, painting is dead." Dramatic, but you can understand where he was coming from. These people had spent their entire lives mastering an art form, only to be told a piece of glass and some chemicals could do their job in a fraction of the time. But did photography kill painting? Not even close. The rise of photography gave birth to Impressionism, Modernism, and countless other movements that focused on what a camera couldn't do. Art evolved rather than disappeared. In the way I see it, history is repeating itself with AI-generated images. And I wish for a future where art coexists with AI in the same way photography did with painting. If there is a market for it, it will exist. Simple as that. There is nothing we can do to stop people from using AI right now. Even if by some miracle you shut down the whole ChatGPT server, China has already joined with several companies in AI models. Google Gemini is also getting really good. You just can't stop it. So the answer is to create a world that coexists with AI. What laws can we enact that will protect artists? In November 2024, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure author and artist Hirohiko Araki, famously the only mangaka whose work has been exhibited in the Louvre Museum, just next to the Mona Lisa. He came across a drawing and thought, this is something I drew. Right? He was shocked to find out it was actually created by AI. He adds, when I draw manga, I add subtle personal elements that make the work uniquely mine. But this AI-generated piece even mimicked details like the way I drew eyelashes, so precisely that it was almost impossible to tell it apart from my work. He considered copyright infringement by AI a villain that manga artists must face. Having some kind of laws would be the only way to regulate this. Of course, currently this AI stuff can't be completely legislated, but there are attempts to do so. For example, right now the images made by ChatGPT might not look fake, but they actually have a watermark from the C2PA, which is run by the Linux Foundation. God, I love Linux. They are working to make sure we can trust digital media. The watermark and metadata helps tracks where the content came from, who made it, and if it's been changed in any way, along with a history of any modifications to it. NFTs don't sound all that bad after this. And we can already see an example of an anime made by AI that ensure compliance with current Japanese copyright regulations. The anime is called Twins Hinahima. It's a short film that premiered in March 2025, animated by Kaka Technology Studio. I repeat, Kaka Technology Studio. The project is notable for utilizing AI in over 95% of its production process. The anime director Ko Nakano have expressed that AI's role in this project is to handle labor-intensive tasks, allowing human creators to focus on more creative and complex aspects of production. Yes, I've watched the anime and I think it's caca, but still, that's not the point. AI doesn't write the script, make a story, and animate itself. This is an art form that is very distinct from all other animation. And I don't think this will replace animators in the same way that CGI didn't replace animators. New tech is terrifying. It changes entire industries, but history shows that fighting it doesn't work. AI isn't going to kill art. It's going to change it, it's going to force us to reflect on what we really value in art, but it won't erase human creativity. Just like before, artists will adapt, push forward, and find new ways to do what they do best: create.